About 4.5 billion years ago, our planet was born out of the chaos of the young solar system. At that time, the sun was still very new, and the space around it was filled with countless rocks, dust, and gas. Slowly, under the force of gravity, these pieces began to come together. They collided again and again, sticking together to form a bigger and bigger ball of rock. This ball would one day become the Earth. In the beginning, Earth was nothing like the safe and calm planet we know today. Its surface was completely covered in fire and molten rock. Volcanoes exploded endlessly, and huge chunks of rock from space kept slamming into the planet. Every impact released enormous amounts of heat, making the surface glow like a burning furnace. Imagine a world where the ground was so hot that nothing solid could survive. It was a planet made of fire. During this time, Earth also had no air to breathe. The atmosphere was filled with poisonous gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and ammonia. There was no oxygen, no water, and no chance for life. But even in this violent state, the foundation of our planet was being set. The heavy elements like iron sank deep down to form Earth's core, while lighter materials floated to the surface and made the first crust. Slowly, Earth was shaping itself into the world that could one day host life. This fiery beginning was harsh, but it was also necessary. Without this stage, Earth could never have built the layers and conditions that later made it possible for oceans, air, and eventually living creatures to appear. What started as a ball of firewood, over time, transformed into a living planet. After millions of years of fire and chaos, Earth slowly began to cool down. The molten rocks that once covered the surface hardened into a thin crust. Volcanoes were still erupting, but something important was happening. Every eruption released gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. These gases slowly built up around Earth, forming the very first atmosphere. But it was nothing like the air we breathe today. It was thick, heavy, and full of toxic gases with almost no oxygen at all. As the surface cooled further, the water vapor in the air began to condense. Rain fell for the first time, not for hours or days, but for thousands of years. Imagine endless storms pouring down on the hot rocks, filling low areas and cracks. Slowly, these rains collected and formed the very first oceans. The Earth, once a planet of fire, was turning into a planet of water. These oceans changed everything. They became a shield, protecting the surface from the sun's harsh rays. They also acted like a cradle, providing the perfect place for chemical reactions that would one day give birth to life. The atmosphere and the oceans together created balance. Even though Earth was still unstable, it was no longer just a burning rock. It had become a world where the possibility of life could begin. This stage marked a turning point in Earth's history. For the first time, our planet had skies above and oceans below. The stage was set for something even more remarkable: the arrival of the very first forms of life. Once the oceans had formed, Earth entered a new chapter in its story. The calm waters became a natural laboratory where simple chemicals mixed and reacted under the power of sunlight, lightning, and heat from underwater volcanoes. Over millions of years, these reactions gave rise to something extraordinary: tiny building blocks of life. The first living things on Earth were simple, single-celled organisms. They were so small that they could only be seen under a microscope, but they were the beginning of everything that followed. These early microbes lived in the oceans, feeding on the chemicals around them and slowly multiplying. Life had started quietly, without any big change to the world, but it was the most important step in Earth's history. Among these early organisms, some developed a special ability: photosynthesis. They learned how to use sunlight to make energy, and in the process, they released oxygen as waste. At first, this oxygen didn't stay in the air. It was absorbed by rocks and minerals. But as time passed, more and more oxygen began to collect in the atmosphere. This was the start of what scientists call the Great Oxidation Event. For Earth, oxygen was a game changer. It transformed the air, made the skies blue, and prepared the planet for more complex life forms. What began as tiny, invisible cells slowly shaped the future of the entire world. Without these first signs of life, there would be no plants, no animals, and no humans today. This was the dawn of life on Earth, small, simple, and fragile, but powerful enough to change the planet forever. For billions of years, life on Earth stayed very simple. Tiny single-celled organisms filled the oceans, slowly shaping the atmosphere with oxygen. But then about 600 million years ago, something incredible began to happen. Life took a leap forward. Cells started working together, forming larger and more complex creatures. This was the beginning of multicellular life. In the oceans, strange and fascinating animals appeared. Some looked like jelly-like blobs, while others had soft, leaf-shaped bodies. These early creatures were the ancestors of the complex life forms we know today. Then came one of the most important events in Earth's history, the Cambrian explosion, around 541 million years ago. During this period, life evolved at a breathtaking speed. Within a relatively short time, almost every major type of animal appeared in the seas. Creatures with hard shells, eyes, and even teeth came into existence. The oceans became crowded with new forms of life, from tiny trilobites crawling along the sea floor to strange predators hunting for food. As time went on, plants began to grow, first in shallow waters and later on land. They released more oxygen into the air and turned Earth's surface green. Fish filled the oceans, insects appeared, and eventually the first animals crawled out of the water to live on land. Earth was no longer just a planet of microbes. It had become a world full of plants, animals, and ecosystems. The rise of complex life completely changed the face of our planet. Forests spread, oceans teemed with creatures, and the balance of life grew stronger with each passing age. What started as simple cells in the oceans had now become a diverse and vibrant living world. Around 250 million years ago, Earth entered one of its most famous eras, the Age of Dinosaurs. At this time, the planet looked very different from today. The continents were joined together in one giant landmass called Pangaea, and the climate was hot and dry. Slowly, new ecosystems began to form, and reptiles became the dominant creatures. Among them, the dinosaurs rose to power. Dinosaurs came in many shapes and sizes. Some were small and quick, running on two legs and feeding on insects or small animals. Others grew into giants, stretching longer than buses and taller than houses, feeding on the endless forests of plants. There were fierce hunters like the Tyrannosaurus rex and gentle giants like the Brachiosaurus. For more than 160 million years, dinosaurs ruled the land, while flying reptiles soared through the skies and giant marine reptiles hunted in the seas. The Age of Dinosaurs was also a time of constant change. New species evolved, climates shifted, and landscapes transformed. It was an era of life at its most powerful and diverse. But then, around 66 million years ago, disaster struck. A massive asteroid crashed into Earth, causing fires, earthquakes, and a cloud of dust that blocked out the sun. Plants withered, ecosystems collapsed, and almost all dinosaurs disappeared in this mass extinction event. Yet, the end of the dinosaurs opened the door for something new. Their fall allowed smaller animals, especially mammals, to rise and take over. The Age of Giants had ended, but Earth's story was far from over. When the dinosaurs disappeared, Earth became quieter, but it was far from empty. Small mammals, which had lived in the shadows of dinosaurs for millions of years, finally had their chance to thrive. These early mammals were tiny, furry creatures, many no bigger than a rat. But with the giant reptiles gone, they spread quickly, adapting to every environment: forests, plains, and even the seas. Over millions of years, mammals grew larger and more diverse. Some became powerful predators like saber-toothed cats, while others grew into massive plant eaters like mammoths. Birds, which had evolved from small dinosaurs, also filled the skies, adding to Earth's growing variety of life. The world was once again rich and full of energy. Among mammals, one special group began to stand out: the primates. These were creatures with sharp minds, flexible hands, and keen eyesight. Over time, some primates evolved into early humans. They learned how to walk upright, use tools, and communicate in complex ways. Fire gave them warmth and protection, while farming allowed them to settle and build communities. Eventually, humans spread across the globe, shaping the land, building civilizations, and unlocking the secrets of science and technology. For the first time, one species had the power not just to survive on Earth, but to transform it. The rise of mammals, and especially humans, marked a turning point in Earth's history. Life had gone from tiny single cells in the oceans to a species capable of exploring space. But with this power also came responsibility, because humans had become the guardians of Earth's future. As we look ahead, the future of Earth is both exciting and uncertain. Our planet is still changing, just as it has for billions of years. Continents continue to drift, mountains rise, and oceans shift. But today, humans are playing a major role in shaping Earth's future. One of the biggest challenges is climate change. The burning of fossil fuels and the cutting down of forests are warming the planet at a rapid pace. Glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, and extreme weather is becoming more common. If these changes continue, they could affect millions of species, including us. The choices we make now will determine whether Earth remains a safe and stable home for generations to come. But the future is not only about problems. It is also about possibilities. Technology, science, and global cooperation give us the tools to protect our planet. By turning to clean energy, preserving forests, and caring for oceans, humanity can help keep Earth alive and healthy. Far beyond human timescales, Earth will continue its own journey. Millions of years from now, the continents will drift into new shapes. Eventually, in billions of years, the sun itself will expand and change, bringing an end to Earth as we know it. Yet even then, our planet's story will remain one of the most extraordinary tales in the universe. A world that gave rise to life and to beings capable of understanding it. The future of Earth is a story still being written, and we are the authors of its next chapter. The story of Earth is the story of transformation. From a ball of fire and rock, it became a world of water, life, and wonder. Across billions of years, it has seen continents drift, oceans rise and fall, creatures appear and vanish, and humans rise to shape its destiny. What makes Earth truly special is not only its long journey, but also the fact that it continues to change every single day. The ground beneath our feet, the air we breathe, and the life around us are all part of a living planet still in motion. As we look back on Earth's incredible evolution, we are reminded of our place in this grand story. We are not separate from nature, we are part of it. Every choice we make, every action we take, adds a line to Earth's history. The question is, what kind of future will we write? Earth has carried life for billions of years, but now it looks to us to care for it. The story of our planet is still unfolding, and it is up to humanity to protect it, so that generations to come can continue to wonder at the beauty of this remarkable world we call home.